for stopping by. Please don't forget to smash the like button. Give consideration to smashing on the subscribe button if my content is your cup of tea. And select the bell button and select the all option so you're notified when I'm in a live stream like this or when I've uploaded a pre-recorded content, okay? So welcome to the show called Say It Like It Is. It's basically one where we'll share stories that affect us, within the Black community. People send in their stories. If the story resonate with me, that we can hopefully learn something from, I will convert it to a live stream session like this. And then we can have a chat like this. The premise of this is to at least, emancipate, at least one person. At the very least, one person. If we get more than that, I would have done an amazing job with my platform. So what's going on, people? What's up? Avery, how you doing? Hi. If you can hear me, you can see me. Smash the like button, please. Smash the like button. Smash the like button. Smash the like button. Okay. It's a bit late. Apologies, because I know some of you, particularly here in the UK, you might want to lay your heads. You're going to work tomorrow morning. But so what's interesting about tonight's session is it's not going to be too long, I promise you. But I'm basically going to touch on two stories. I've never done that before. I'm going to go straight to the point with the main story, which you can sort of pick from the title. And after talking about that, we'll move on to the second story. So you're getting two stories in one live stream, okay? Smash the like button, smash that thumb. I have people sending me emails that on live stream, how do they support my channel? You can always click on, there's a $sign where the comment box is if you want to donate to support the channel. I don't run away from donations or, monetary assistance from my work catalog on my channel. You're not obligated to, but if you want to help, I appreciate that, all right? And if you want to get in touch with me, my email address will be in the description of this video. Before we crack on, I always like to say I'm an IFA initiate, IFA practitioner. Since April of this year, I started an IFA divination service, basically to help the Black community. If you are interested, nobody's forced to do anything. So what that entails is divination to find out whatever pressing questions in your life. It could be to do your marriage, potential relationship, your business, moves in your life. And one of the very popular parts of my service is Akosajaye, which is called predestination check in English. Who are you? Are you struggling to discover your essence? What exactly were you called to do in this dispensation? And this has been really helpful. I've had people where, based on the outcome of the divination, they may have to do appeasement. We call it in Yoruba etutu, and things like this will be shared via video files, via WhatsApp. You see how the work is done, very detailed, but I'm happy to talk about that via email. If this is your cup of tea, bang me an email to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. My email address is in the description of this video. You can also follow me on Instagram. IBIM, please do me a favor, IBIM, just so I know who I'm talking to and where we are with your stuff. Please just send me an email, okay? You have my email address, IBIM. I want to see your email so I can check after the show, okay? Thank you. So yeah, that's that. If you're interested, send me an email, Adewale. My email address is in the description of the video. Just send me an email once I get it. I'm dealing with backlogs and as well as new emails, okay? Just send me an email and I will pick up your email before the end of this week and I'll definitely get back to you, all right? Thank you. Now, let's crack with the story. If you can hear me, you can see me, smash the like button. So this guy, some 3 odd years ago, like many of diasporans, he's here in the UK. He's been through hell, right? He was in the shadow of the system for so many years, and then eventually was able to adjust his status and all that. So about 3+ years ago, he decided. Prior to that, things were pretty rough. He was dependent on other person's identity. You get the gist, right? And he was paying hefty amount of money. He could barely save anything and stuff, like he was living rough. Eventually, he met a lady, yada, yada, yada. You get the gist. They amalgamated their emotions. So she sort of helped him, okay, to adjust his status. And today they have, I believe, two wonderful children, okay? They are cohabiting as husband and wife. But she pretty much helped him to, get out of the immigration complexity that he found himself here in the UK. So long story short, about 3.5 or so years ago, he decided, like plenty of diasporans do on a daily basis, that he wanted to procure lands, back home. He was already contemplating on building a house and things like that. I will get in touch with you, okay? I will, I promise. So he started talking to his father in Nigeria. Now, before then, let me shock you. Remember, I said this guy was in the shadow of the system for many years. He was paying for the identity that he was unscrupulously using and whilst living in this shadow of the system. And the owner of that identity extorted him for many years. On top of all that, for many years, this guy was sending the sum of 280,000 naira per month to his so-called parents and even older siblings as a sort of monthly support. Imagine, this is what, when I started reading this email, I went through like the second and third paragraph. I was already raging. You are suffering. You could barely boast of 2 pair of trousers. You could barely boast of 2 pair of shoes in your wardrobe. You are shelling out 280,000 naira, roughly 300,000 naira on a monthly basis to some people who turned out, exposed themselves as being ungrateful. They're just plain users. He did this for years. He even said, depending on what the demands were, if there were something needed to be done, somebody died, parents wanted to attend a burial, somebody was getting married, the bulk of the pressure was on this gentleman. Sometimes he was sent 350,000, it could be 320,000, but at the very least, on a monthly basis, it was 280,000. He told me that he was working as a cleaner on weekends. He had the full-time job that was lengthy hours, but then he had these sort of like evening job. We call it Icherole. Okay, it's a cleaning job, cleaning late at night, cleaning the what do you call it, man? A local William Hill, like a betting shop. He would go there, wipe the place down, the toilets, the Hoover, and all, usual stuff. So he had the local William Hill, and then once he finishes cleaning that William Hill betting shop, he will cross the road. Just adjacent to that betting shop, there's a pub that he would go into. They close a bit late, and then the pub, he will clean that pub till about 1:30 a.m. in the morning before coming out and then taking a night bus home to sleep, sometimes 4 hours, 4.5 hours. Imagine doing that for years. He was telling me about having this never-ending chest pain, joint pains, lower back pain, his heels, and then he recently discovered that he's got arthritis on some of those joints. Yeah. He did this mundane routine for many years. So he had the full-time work, and then from his earnings from the full-time work, the owner of the identity he said they agreed initially to about to be giving that guy about £350 on a monthly basis. But because these persons bank account that he was using, they became greedy because his earnings would go into their bank account, and that person sometimes would take about £700, would take about £750. Sometimes they would take about £800 from his earnings. These things happen. It's just that in the interest of the black community, I have a lot of these stories. I really don't like delving too much, but a lot of you already understand this. So this guy said he didn't have a choice. He was trapped. He didn't have any alternative. He didn't have any other. You know, when people know that you're vulnerable, let me say this quickly. When they know that you're in a tight corner, they know, particularly when you're living in the shadow of the system, they would take the piss out of you. They would take advantage. That, you know, in the worst cases, particularly for females that are in the shadow of the system and stuff, if they were dealing with males and in terms of their papers and stuff like that, they are usually victims of sexual gratification, sexual abuse, and you know, demand for sex and things like that, and they are trapped. Or if they are facing homelessness, you get the gist. They are usually even in much more precarious situation compared with their male counterparts. But moving along, so this guy said he was battling every month with the guy, and anytime he raises his voice, the owner of the identity will say, "Ah, Lowelo me, go and use someone else's documents," knowing fully well that this guy doesn't have a way out. Okay, so he was dealing with that. Eventually, he knew, you know, he got to know some people connected to the guy. He was able to plead with them. So anyway, upon all the pleading, the guy said he was going to take £600 on a monthly basis. So, which was a massive chunk coming out of his earnings. So, whatever else, you know, he was left with, he had to pay his rent in the shared house, feeding, transportation, and he will have to squeeze 280,000 naira to the people back home. This is madness. This is what I've been talking about. Now, when he met that woman, who is his wife now, I think she got to know about his affairs and all that. So the woman had been fighting him in the background that, if, you know, I love you, we can't carry on like this. You've got to have savings, regardless of how you're making your money and all that. This money you are shelling out. Big shout out to that sister for being smart, for being emancipated. The wife, he told me this. He said my wife would fight me. Then they were dating. She would fight him. They would argue and say, this money that you are sending is too much. You know, you're not going to have anything. And he didn't have anything for a long time. Now, 3+ years ago, spoke to his dad, said I wanted to buy land. So they said they found a place, 3 plots of land and all that. So they spoke to the owner of the land for him. He was still here, you know, couldn't go home at the time. And then dad and the siblings did all the legwork, sometimes with his mom. So eventually, he sent money home to buy 3 plots of land. He said his plan was he would use the 2 plots. He would eventually build on the 2 plots of land and then maybe keep the extra plot of land, you know, for later on in future or something like that. But he wanted to build on 2 plots and then keep the third one. Now, he sent all the monies, right? He said he felt that the money was was like too much. He borrowed money, he paid for the land. Eventually, they sent him pictures of the documents on WhatsApp, the land agreement and everything. He said when one of his friends went to Nigeria, the father at the time was absolutely reluctant to give a copy of the land agreement, but eventually he caved in. So the friend brought a copy of the land agreement, which he regarded as the original copy. They brought it back to the UK. So fast forward 4 months later, he worked, he saved money, and then he sent some money on, asked them to fence the land, right? Which he claimed that they did. They sent him pictures on WhatsApp and things like that. Now, when they fenced it, right, he thought, right, cool. Let me rest for now and start to save proper money. I'm going to start foundation, like everybody else. You know, a lot of people want to have their own homes, their own assets and things like that. There was nothing wrong with that. So he said, after fencing the place and putting a gate, he said just about 2.5 months later, he got a call from his older brother and simultaneously the dad as well, and said, we call them Awomonile. These are the land in English, omonile are like land racketeering fraudsters. These land racketeers, right? They're the ones that they're involved in bullying people off their lands and unscrupulously selling lands. They can sell land to you if you don't perfect the documentation. They can sell one land to multiple buyers, and then I may think I own a land somewhere, and then I come back in a couple of months, somebody else has got a foundation on that land. Some of them, they are very notorious. They go really deep, that even into the land registry they have their cohorts in there. They're the people that work unscrupulously with them to cover their tracks, and they do all sorts. If you confront them and you're not well connected, you just confront them out of blindly applying your emotions, they can kill you. They can attack you with cutlasses and weapons and things like that, beat you up. So anyway, he got this heartbreaking phone call. And then they said, oh, these Omoniles, these land racketeering people, it would appear that they had sold his land to someone else because somebody else had started a massive foundation work building project on his land. You can imagine. He's here in the diaspora. That's a heartbreaking news. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, give me a thumb up. Just let me know that I've not lost you guys. Can you hear me? Just give me a thumb up if you can hear me. Thank you, Toby. Nice. Great. So they gave him the devastating news. Thank you, Mr. Lagos. Smash the like button if you can hear me. So they gave him the devastating news, and you can imagine. He told me, he said, Phrankleen, I nearly, he said, I nearly shat on myself, and I nearly collapsed. He said, when the message came in, I was actually rushing off to work. He said, I was perplexed. When I got to work, I broke down in tears. I was confused. I didn't know what to do. The only thing he could do was he was calling his dad and his siblings, like, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. So the dad, that was a means for them to extort him even more. So the dad said, okay, give us a couple of days. We're talking to the people that we know, blah, 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 blah. Eventually, they got back and said, oh, they had found certain persons within the system, in the land registry, blah, 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 that would help him, reclaim the land back from the person that was already building on it and things like that. He sent a truckload of money, and all that money went down the drain. And then eventually, things were really bad. It led to further, a near relationship breakdown between him and his woman, right? Because the woman was shouting that this is what I've been saying to you and all that stuff. So he lost even more money. Now, eventually, remember I said his status got perfected. He now has, genuine document that would enable him to jump on the plane. He jumps on the plane. He went home not too long ago, early this year. He went home, saw the dad. Everything was already in chaos. And he said the complexity was too much. Everybody was telling him, bro, forget about it. Don't worry, you buy another one. That's Nigeria for you. You know, that usual script. He said he went to the location and he was fighting back tears. He couldn't do anything. Doesn't have that much resources. You're going to have to go meet the police or get a lawyer. It would cost him even more money to fight, and he had to suck it up and moved on. Now, when he went to view that land, he saw in that jurisdiction where the land was, there were already residential properties around there. He spoke to a couple of people like guards and other people's houses, locals in there, and they said, oh, these Omonile, these land racketeers, and they would always do this and all that stuff. Anyway, thank you. He got a couple of contacts and then disappeared back to the UK. He said he was deflated. He had lost a lot of money. He didn't even know where to start from. He couldn't get that off his mind. He already said in his mind, I don't want anything to do with Nigeria again, or even the entire Africa. He was so pained, understandably so. Now, he has a childhood friend that he went to high school with years ago, before he came abroad. So up until recently, he said he was having a WhatsApp phone call with that friend. That one is based in Nigeria. So he was just out of pain. He was discussing this with a friend. He said the friend was really quiet, was listening to him whilst he was lamenting about his losses and how he was treated, the land theft and racketeering and all that. So the friend paid very good attention, and he said, right, what area is this? What area did you buy this land and all that stuff? And he mentioned the area. The friend happened to be the friend's family. They happen to be into politics. So they're like in this APC. He's like into politics, right? So he has a brother who is like also vying for a political position. So basically, the advantage of that is the guy is well connected. He knows like some of the leaders of all these hoodlums and this so-called racketeering people, these land grabbers. He would know people. So if they wanted to find out about an occurrence, that friend is the type of person that can press buttons and uncover certain things and be able to investigate that. Who took that land? Who did what? Because of his own father and the type of family he came from, he knows people. He knows police officers and all that. Anyway, so he told this guy that emailed me, said, okay, I'll do the findings. I want to know who exactly was behind the atrocities. Long story short, the guy said less than a week later, the friend messages him, said, are you at work? Tell me when you are free. Let's talk on WhatsApp. I got news for you, but you must be man enough to handle the news. So he said he was at work. He was looking at the message. I must be man enough to handle the news. What the hell? So the friend, they set up a WhatsApp call, and then the friend said, I found out, the people said, you can't fight them, it's really complex. But the core information that I picked from these people that stole your land, hijacked your land and sold it on to somebody else, blah, 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 is pay attention to this. He said, they specifically mentioned that your father and your older brother were the ones that sold them the idea. Did you hear what I said? He said they sat the guy down in a meeting in a particular house, and some of these godfathers of these people that do this land grabbing, and they said, your friend's father and his older brother were the ones that brought the idea to our boys. Said, so we sold the land and we gave them their cut. We paid them X amount of money. Bro, they even show them some sort of evidence. So go and ask him to go and ask his father. Our boy Boshishe, go and ask his father, and the father denies that he knows nothing, he has us to contend with and all that stuff. That's where all hell broke loose. So this guy, this recently was in Nigeria just a couple of weeks ago. He was rattled. And he was rattled. It broke him down. He quickly got the cheapest ticket he could get. He said, Phrankleen, I jump on the flight straight to Nigeria to go and confront his father and brother. Now, let's switch up the ante. The moment they discovered that he's known that, oh, dad, so leg tie lemi, blah, 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 it became, like we say in Yoruba, it became, noisy and all that stuff. The dad ran away from Ibadan, his house. The father has his own house. He ran away from home to Ondo State, right? Because he didn't want the confrontation from his son. Because the confrontation would lead to accountability, right? So he ran away from home. But the older brother, they broke into a scuffle and roughened him up with punches and blows. He got some other people to roughen this guy up. And their mom, his mother, all the while, he said, every time he would lament to his mom on the phone, she would be like, "Oh, call me. Maronu, Eledumare apese," like, oh, the Lord will provide, don't worry. Muti Lord, Pastor Kenny Lord Badura, Ashiri Abo, ma worry, wara eto jubeyen law. Basically, don't worry, the Lord will provide. You'll be able to buy even more lands. You can imagine. You would believe you're getting empathy from your biological mother, right? She was part. She was part of, the gang. Now, because the father had legged it, the mother was home alone with the brother when they assaulted this guy and beat him up and all that stuff. So when they realized they'd been backed into a corner, mom pulls a fast one. She calls the police and said, this man that sent me an email, her son, told the police that he came home with an axe and he wants to murder every member of the household. So on those grounds, that fraudulent misrepresentation, in a desperate bid to cover their tracks and the tracks of her husband, of course, she turned against her own son and said to the police that he's got an axe, he's wielding the axe, he's going to murder everybody at the home address, which was in fact a lie. So police came because they locked the gates. The guy was outside shouting. The neighbors had come out. So the police came and then they sort of handcuffed him and all that. They took him away. But the police, he said, the police officer that the mother called, who's like a senior police officer, sat him down, listened to the story from start up until that point. Thankfully, because I'll say it, the police are rotten. They are a different type of gang and criminals themselves. And if they are given a dirty job to do, they usually deliver. Except you are somebody who is ruthless yourself, you're firm, you have your own backing. That's when you can take on the police, especially in Africa. If you don't have strong enough legs to stand on, you're not well connected, both legally and whatever way, they will nail you to the cross. Now, but he said, surprisingly, the senior police officer knew. He could read between the lines. It's what they are actually trained to do. But he showed a degree of empathy and said, look, I know you're not a criminal. I know. I know that the whole idea of you having an axe and all that, I know all of that was just to smear you and just to assassinate your character. Said, the only advice I will give you, I'm going to release you and let you go, but the advice I'll give you is you need to avoid your parents. You need to keep your business far, far, far away, from them. I don't know your family that well, but based on the things I heard them say about you, said the intentions towards you is very deadly. These came from a police officer. So the guy said, thankfully, he called out his friend who was well connected, who knows stuff about land racketeering and all that. So the friend came to pick him from the police station and all that. So he called his wife. Wife was panicky here in the UK and things like that. He said, Phrankleen, I've never experienced this in my life. He's totally broken. I wanted to talk about something totally different tonight, But so that will be the number 2 story that's coming up shortly. But I just said, you know what, I've got to talk about this very quickly. And this guy said, had my tail between my legs. I couldn't do anything. I was badly bitten. The only thing was the police let me go. They didn't even ask me for money. I was surprised. Nigerian police said they let me go. And I stayed at my friend's for the remaining number of days. And I came back to the UK. And he said, that's the end with, you know, family and all that stuff. Said some uncles were trying to call him, Oma Jebureni, basically take it easy, Shesuru, and all the bollocks. So he blocked everyone's numbers. He said, I've actually changed my phone number here in the UK. I think he's changed his number just to cut everyone off. That's the story. That's the story. It's as simple as that. He wanted me to share this. I empathize with him, but he echoes what I've been saying. Put your affair in order. You know, it's not a crime that you would say, Dad, lest I forget. He said that years ago, before the land incident, right? He's had situations where he would send small amounts of money to his dad to do one or two things, like small stuff. Dad, take this 70,000 naira. Can you help me do this, this, and this? The money would disappear. Sometimes he will have to send money twice to get stuff done. So, the reason I remember these bits is, you see, the handwriting has been on the wall. The giant red flag had presented itself repeatedly. But you see, this guy allowed himself to be governed by sentiments and emotional blackmail. Ó ti rí pé o lè ní dádì ẹ. Ó ti rí pé o lè lẹ́gbọ́n ẹ. You've dealt with them once, twice, thrice, small amount. Dad, can you help me take this 70,000 naira to pay for this and this and this? He spends your money. He wouldn't do that thing. A big bro, can I send you money to help me do X, Y, Z? They will spend your money. And your dad will say, so what? So you had abundance of opportunity to have cut ties or to have kept these people in the distance. That's the giant red flag. This is why I say that when you look at things like this, stories like this, if you get people to actually talk, you'd realize that they were presented with abundance of opportunity at a point in time to have seen the handwriting on the freaking wall. But they were blinded by sentiment. You can see that your dad is a crook. But because of religiosity, the Bible says, honor thy father and mother. Bull crap. Or you're trying to call out your dad who has blatantly stolen from you, and then they will tell you things like, shut up, keep quiet. You keep quiet. It's emotional blackmail. It's a very evil psychological game designed to peg you mentally so that you can be subservient to them. You can always do their will. You can do as you are told. It's all a trap. What do you mean that's too much? Why should he keep his family at distance? Yes, a family that have shown you that they are evil, they are thieves, they are conniving charlatans. Why do you have to latch onto them? It's a very honest question. And this is why so many lives get destroyed. Family members that have shown you, you're here, you're busting your backside. Yeah? Let me understand by your logic, sir. You take money, a big bro, a dad, a mom. Let me send you 100,000 naira. Please help me to do X, Y, Z. Here is 20,000 naira for you, for your own pocket. Please help me to do X, Y, Z. They blatantly spend that money. And then they have the attitude of, yeah, so what? For me, what are you going to do? You see, this is the problem. The lack of principle, lack of discipline, this BS, how we romancipate, we romance evilness and toxicity in Africa. You hear some people, they start to analyze this, and Afe, thank you for the super chat, right? And they start with, it's not our culture. It's a toxic culture. Let me read that. I was planning on investing in buying a house and one land back home, but my mom is telling me I have to bring my brother to join me first before investing, but I know it's for our own investment. The mistake you made is telling your mom that you want to do X, Y, Z. Of course, they will always sit on your own narrative, your own idea, your own to-do list, personal to-do list. They will rip it and they will basically instruct you on how to live your life to cater for their own selfish, gain. It's as simple as that. You didn't give birth to your brother. If you genuinely have the ability to help your brother, you can help your brother. But for your mom to be dictatorial and say you must take your brother first, that's BS. That's a truckload of nonsense. She gave birth to your brother. It's her responsibility to send him abroad. You're not his parent. Sometimes some of these parents, they do this so they can have multiple channels to get monthly supply of Forex. Because the more, the better. If they have 4 children, if 3 of you are abroad, that's 3 channels to enjoy Forex. It's not really about you. This whole idea of family, family ni. Ogun ló máa pa family burúkú, Ogun Adéolú ló máa pa wọ́n dànù. Ogun ló máa fẹ́ jẹ́ wọ́n wẹ̀. I don't do sentiments. So I may sound really harsh to some of you, but nah, man. The bulk of the spiritual and both physical wars that we deal with as Africans, they emanate from your bloodline. I will go toe to toe with anybody on this particular topic. They emanate from your bloodline. Ileni, Ogun Idile. In Yoruba, they say Ogun Idile. The bulk of the spirit. Some of you, from the time you were born, I've talked about this severally. From the time you were born, I want to put you war. Ogun Idile ni. I want to go like Sikielo me. I want to die on. If it's not your mother's side, it's your father's side. Sometimes it's a combination of both. The 98% of spiritual battles emanate from your bloodline because they know your mother. I'm telling you, man. This is why I talk about staying fortified. They prefer you, also as Africans in our society, they prefer you to be spiritually porous and non-existent, so that when they are ready to put you on the grill, it's easy peasy. When they are ready to snuff you out, it's very easy to snuff you out. We allow sentiments. Look at this guy. I read this story this afternoon. Hand on my heart, yeah. I was raging. I got a bit carried away. I inserted myself into that story. It felt like I was the victim. I was raging. I have a truckload of the stories in my inbox. Otikboju. Imagine a biological mother conniving with the father of our son and then calling the police. Imagine if Ituare, thank you for the super chat. Imagine if the police were this these drunk police officer who were just gun-wielding police officer and carelessly shoots his gun at this man and they kill him. This mother wouldn't mind this guy dying so that they can conceal their fraudulent track records. And you know what they would do? They would throw a fraudulent, a reputational damaging story about him into the public domain, into the wider context of the family. Wọ́n ní ilé la wà o, ṣe ló yọ àáké wá sí wa o, gbogbo ará àdúgbò lórí o. They saw him, he brought an axe, he was trying to kill us, and the police had to shoot because what do I do? He's my son. And people will be like, wow, that's unfortunate. They would lie, and they would take that lie to the grave. Yes, say I shower down. That's how deep. But the bit that I highlighted earlier on is this guy. You saw the handwriting on the wall, but you allow sentiments, and that's the story for so many people. Can I be honest? Can I use myself? I've been there. Once upon a time, years ago, when I was naive, you give some family members money. Can you help me to do X, Y, Z? You talk to them politely with all respect. They F you over. When I was way younger than this, when I was naive, when I didn't have a better understanding, when I was not emancipated. So I've experienced some of these things. This is not clout chasing. This is not trying to sell people a narrative that, I'm telling you, man, how can you be in this land, in the diaspora, right? It's tough enough that you live in the shadow of the system. Even if you're not living in the shadow of the system, you have your papers, that you are busting your backside on a daily basis just to be somebody, just to make that coins, to earn that sterling, to earn that Benjamin, the dollars, the euros, and you're breaking your backside. You're dealing with racism, oppression, daily microaggression, and all the challenges, the truckload of monthly outgoings. You have children, you have all sorts, man. And then on top of all that, you're thinking, okay, I've got XYZ back home. Here's this amount of money. Oh, please, can you help me do this? And they turn around and F you over. And then your response to that is to apply sentiment because a bloody Bible said XYZ. Oh, do not, bloody, blah, blah, honor thy father and mother. This is the mental conditioning. This is the psychological chains that they use to chain you down mentally so that you can constantly remain subservient. There are some of your own parents. You are the sacrificial lamb. You don't even know. Your parents already made a pact in whatever dark sect that they belong in, but you don't know. You're not meant to know. You are the sacrificial lamb. You are in the US, you are in the UK, you're in Germany. You are the sacrificial lamb. And I'm talking from a spiritual standpoint. It's not even debatable. You don't even know that some of these parents are psychopaths, but you know them as you've known them from childhood. You are the sacrificial lamb. When they are done draining your resources, you will at some point end up dead. You would die abruptly, mysteriously. In the front end, they would just say, good night, Petrina. They would just say, oh, he had a brief illness. Oh, it was a ghastly car accident. Only bell gunsi ego kudano. Iwala ma fi shate gun fa wa buru e. Iwala la ma fi gbera. It's already signed, sealed, and delivered spiritually. But you don't know. You know why? Because if you're spiritually non-existent, there is no way for you to know. And some of the ways that's very easy for them to remote control your life spiritually is when every time you send money, let me tell you right now, King Jai Tolale, every time you send money, if you're sending money, you see that money represents Ajay, it represents wealth. It's a major significance in our life. If I've gone somewhere to work, it could be a building site, it could be an IT job, whatever I do for a living, yeah? My earnings, hold on. Here is just to show an example, right? A visual representation of what I'm saying. Here is a £2 coin. Here's a £2 coin. Let's say this is my earning. And then I take this money and I send it to someone. And it gets into the hand of someone who is unscrupulous, who has sinister intentions against me from a spiritual standpoint. Owó tó fi ọwọ́ ẹ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ fún, tó máa fi ṣe láburú, tó fi sàsí ẹ. They use it, right? They activate dark energies against you. So some of you are even oblivious of the fact that on a monthly basis, you are trapped in a cocoon of destruction, that the money you are remitting to some of these people is what they are using against you adversely. And that connects to your finance spiritually. So what does that mean? Oh, nilakujo, it will be like fetching water with a basket case. You would know that you are grinding. You work all these hours. You would know that you're seeing this money, but your life will always feel like you're fetching water with a basket. Oh wow, ni konsali akbo. Oh mi ni konsali akbo. La she dumari. Aje afaye mi she bujoko. This is how deep it goes. Some of you may not appreciate this. You may think I'm waffling. It's all good. Fact. I know exactly what I'm talking about, man. This is how deep the evilness goes in the black community. The worst thing that can happen to you as a fully grown adult is for you not to have an understanding of the true orchestration of the world that we live in. It's one of the deadliest things that can happen to any human being. Orí má jẹ́ ká wálé ayé asán. Orí mi má jẹ́ kí n kú sórí mo ṣe. Orí mi má jẹ́ kí n kú sórí mo jìyà. Lẹ́dàá mi má jẹ́ kí n kú sórí mo jìyà. Ọwọ́ mi ò ní kàn sàlẹ̀ àpò láṣẹ Èdùmàrè. I'm telling you, man. So I'm talking hypothetically, right? So somebody might be sending money to their mother. If you look at that on paper, it's no bad idea. How could it possibly be wrong? It's a wicked world that we live in. This is why I'm telling you that 98% of whatever spiritual battles, roadblocks that you have in life, they emanate from your bloodline. Everybody will verbally, right? They will articulate the fact that, oh, you will be great. In Jesus' name, you shall prosper. You will make it in the name of such and such and such. Oh, your doors shall open. Amen. It's a lie. Everybody wants you to win until they claim that they want you to win until you actually start to climb the stairs of success. Then the mask will come off. Some won't even get the chance to put the tip of their toes on the edge of the stairs of success. You won't even get close. Elomi, want to bear me, Kori Rasilara. But it's very small. These people. This guy that sent me this story, you know what I said to him? I said I was going to talk about his story, but what I told him was, my dude, you need to go and fortify yourself. You see, from my understanding, people that can be that vindictive, they call police officers on you in a bid that they can arrest you and they can drum up some bogus charges to lock you up and even kill you off. Yeah? The police were nice enough to let you go. They chose not to frame you. They said to you, that, look, man, keep your business away from these people and keep your distance, blah, 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 blah. They were good. May the universe bless them accordingly. But you see these people, your so-called family members, now they will switch up the ante, right? They hate defeat. Realize that now the father, the mother, the sibling, the brother, they've been exposed now that they are criminals. They hate that. And in a bid to be able to win over this guy, vindictiveness is now on steroids, right? They are going to activate dark energies against him. They will actually get out of their way. Trust me, if they can't touch him, they will aim at his wife. If they can't touch the wife, they will aim at his children. They are that vindictive. Families are the worst. If they can't physically kill the children, they will find ways how they can unscrupulously tamper with their glory, their pathway in life. This is out of vindictiveness. And especially these, older generation African parents, there is this thing about them. Even when you catch them pants down, figuratively speaking, right? The fact that you caught them pants down, you would expect them to say, okay, you got me, I'm sorry, forgive me. No. The ones, they also play a very deadly game. If you catch them pants down, there are some of them that are very, very deadly. You know what they would do? They will beg you. Joma binu, Daddy Jimmy, Jo Dakun. They will call you. So it's an illusion that they're selling you. They're playing a very deadly game. They will pretend physically that they are sorry. Is to peg down your emotion and create a distraction for you mentally. So you just look at it and be like, okay, all right, mom, I'm not, right? But you see, when they go behind the doors, when they go into the dark energies and whatever frats they belong in, they will strike you. No. You don't understand. They will strike you. Some of them become so vindictive. Austin, I will. One call. But yeah, especially when they have 3-4 children, they don't care. They will kill you. They must. That's why you must be fortified. Family battles, ogun idile. If you can win family battles, you can conquer any battle in this world. Some will spend their lifetime trapped in the cocoon of family spiritual attacks and things like that. They would never win. Eventually, they will suck them in and destroy them. Some will fight and break free. It might take them a long time. They might lose loved ones in the process, and they will break free eventually. And some, it would look like they're about to break free. They will flatten them and take them out. One last thing. Before the guy left Nigeria, the mother said, that was what, basically, you're going to return to Africa the way you left. So that was what prompted me to tell him via email, bro, you need to get fortified. If it was me, Phrankleen, what would you do? I don't use sentiments. I'm an Ifa person. I'm going to carry out immediate divination. It's war. I don't care who you are. I'm a mono for my two less here, No. Lower you issue, lower you ogun. Whatever it takes, whatever Ifa says is required to shell at these people. Let's go, let's get it. I am that guy. So if I look, this is how I think. If I look through my bedroom window from an angle of elevation, and I'm looking at you, is it elevation or depression, whatever? From the bedroom window, I'm looking at you, and you're walking towards my house, and I see you, figuratively speaking, and I see you with a loaded gun. I am that guy. I like to take the fight to the person that has the intention to do me harm. Does that make sense? I bring you the war. I don't wait. I'm not going to wait for you to break through the door. Somebody with a loaded gun is not coming to ask you for a cup of tea. They're coming to take you out. And perhaps everyone else that's inside the house with you at the time. So let's say I also have a loaded gun and I can see you approaching. I'll take you out from that bedroom window, figuratively speaking. So if you apply that from a spiritual standpoint, you got to stay ready and fortified. You've got to. If you have children, you've got to make sure you fortify your children. Some of them, when they realize they can't take you down, they'll go after your children. So, let me see. Watch out for the mother's crocodile tears. Don't fall for it. They use this to play on your heartstrings. Of course. That's exactly what I said earlier, Carl. You know, they're going to use the crocodile tears to pacify you. It's a fraudulent pacification, if I can say that. It's a very filthy game. It's to create mental distraction, and then they will strike. They will strike you hard. You know. So this guy, you must fortify yourself, because a mother who's vindictively said, it's not just an empty threat. They will find a way to tear him down. Oh, they will. I don't know if I can still do the second story. Okay, let me see if I can squeeze it in. Okay, we're going to go past an hour and a bit. I'll try very quickly. So that's that. So the second one, very quickly, is a guy sent me an email, talks about, and I really want to talk about this, but I'll talk about it anyway. So he said, Phrankleen, about he brought in his wife from Africa and all that. He said some of his friends at the time told him, don't bring a woman in, blah, 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 this. And so the long and short of the story, this one is going to be very short and sweet, right? So she came in and eventually recently she wiped him out, kicked him out of the house by weaponizing the 2 young children they've got. So she's taken over the house. They kicked him out. He's sleeping rough, patching up somewhere with a friend. The friend is gracious enough to say, okay, it's November is nearly done. You can stay with me through December. And by the middle of January till 15th of January, 2023, you need to move out. Okay, so he's staying with a friend now. And he was... sent me this email and said the whole idea of do I think it's a bad idea to bring your wife Ophelia, do I have your email? Please send me an email, or if you've sent it, just forward it to me, okay? Do I think it's a bad idea to bring a wife from Africa to the diaspora? No. I'll tell you why. If you meet, there is a myth that's been circulating in the black community for so long that, now let me clarify that. No. It's multifaceted. I'll say this very quickly, okay? I'm mindful of time. So if you say you met a woman back home, okay? And then you already married them in Nigeria, yada, yada. Now, what happens behind closed doors? Most people never declare the truth. I'm repeating it. What truly happens within the confines of people's unions, marriages, and all that? They don't really tell you the truth unless you see video recordings, or there are certain truths that manage to leak out when there are major problems. People don't really give true accounts, especially if there is domestic violence involved or violations and things like that. So the pattern that I've seen over the years is, say you're in Nigeria, for example, you've already married this woman, you've had a child or whatever, and then you both, eventually you move abroad, or you both decided to move abroad and all that. Let me be honest. I will say it like it is. That's the premise of this show, okay? Can I be honest? There are things you can get away with in Nigeria that you can't get away with in the West or even other parts of Africa. Fact. Now, in Nigeria, you can give your wife a dirty slap in your compound, even if it's a rented house, you have other tenants. You can give her a dirty slap, bang! And people, oh, whoa, and this will take it easy, yada, 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 and all that. You say your bit, she says her bit, you storm, I'm the man of this house, yada, 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 you walk back inside. And you can pretty much get away with that. If she goes to a nearby police station, 9 out of 10 times they're going to discard her position, because most of the filthy police officers, they share that sort of line of thought process. Okay, so they would suppress the woman's concerns. So the long and short of what I'm saying is, you can get away with atrocities for the most part. Only if you touch on a particular woman, maybe she comes from a strong background, she's got people around her, the family is powerful, they can come after you like a tsunami, then she may be able to get justice against you, things like that. But for most regular, everyday Joe Blogs, the man can get away with atrocities if you come to the West. And the same scenario, you bring it to the UK, for example, and you give your wife a dirty slap on the high street. Bang! You will land in the police den. Within the 2 shakes of a duck, still, more than likely you end up in prison. You lose everything, right? Because the environment is different, right? In that regard. Now, check this. So, I'm just trying, because this topic is multifaceted. So I'm trying to say, so people would make a blanket statement and say, oh, so this woman, I married her in Nigeria. Can you imagine? I brought her to the UK. She threw me out. That's a blanket statement. There's nothing to see there. There is no meat to that submission. There's no meat. There's nothing to work with. When you begin to unpack it, when you begin to peel the layers like layers of an onion, then you discover quite a lot of toxicity. So if you're someone who has managed to get away with domestic violence, in our society, families usually, most of these families, because of very toxic culture, would sit down and find 1,001 ways to suppress domestic violence. Instead of educating people or saying no to it, they will find ways to just, boom, they will tell the woman, blah, blah, blah. So if such man grew up in that environment, and this is not me bashing men, I'm just being honest. We're here to hopefully get better as a people, right? So can we be honest? So you then come to the UK, and then you're already formed. You have your toxic ways. So you are inside the house with your wife now, and then boom, 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 something happens, you beat her up. The neighbor catches on onto it, or she shouts for help and stuff, and you get arrested, they fling you out. If she's got kids, it's normal. It's the way the system is designed. A woman with kids, regardless of the fact that the woman is vindictive or not, there's a woman with kids, you, a man, 9 out of 10 times you'll be asked to leave because there are children who will gravitate, who would need mommy to look after them. You get it? So they will show you the door. Now this guy talks about his woman, yeah, she kicked me out, blah, 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 blah. My friend said, don't bring a woman. There's a very common thing in our society. I've said it in one of my old content, and I'll say it again tonight. Most men, this thing is like an unspoken rule. And this is not me simping or gravitating towards any women or trying to please women. I'm not a people pleaser. But if you're a man, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, maybe look inwards, okay? There was an unspoken rule amongst a lot of men in the black community. When they go home to bring a wife, some that even go home to bring a wife, they do go home with the mindset of a woman that they can commodify. Someone they can commodify, restrict their thought process, restrict their societal interaction here in the West, and just pump them up with a couple of 2, 3, 4 pregnancies and keep them at bay and just ring fence them, ensure that they don't have a societal career climb, and just keep them at bay whilst the man has the opportunity to gallivant. I'll say it. It's an unspoken rule. Some of you are watching, you know exactly what I'm saying. Obìnrin tó máa gàba lé lórí. Women, they want. So the misconception that I will go and bring Sade from Nigeria, Sade that is a NCE holder, HND. So even me bringing her to the UK is like I'm doing her a massive favor. So commodify her, you tell her, I don't want you to have friends or talk to anybody and all that. You do as you're told. But then it's human nature. Even if Sade has limited exposure or educational background, the moment she gets here, she starts to go to hairdressing salon, even if she goes to a church, a gathering of people, starts to know people, starts to talk, starts to listen. She has a degree of common sense. She will talk to someone about being confined and restricted and all that. Somebody would emancipate her. It might be a bad, you might call it a bad type of emancipation or a good, whatever you want to call it. But ojú ẹ̀ máa là, etí ẹ̀ máa ṣí. And the moment somebody says, no, he's not allowed to do that. No, he can't do that. No. If he says blah, 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 no, you call the police or call this number, da, 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 da. Now, that may well not be the best approach, but these things will happen. Because even you yourself, you have sinister intentions towards that woman. Let's not forget that bit. So, and the truth is, there is something powerful about emancipation in every facet of life. The moment you get emancipated, you are never going back to blindness. Ogun ẹni kò máa mọ̀. The moment your brain gets activated, your inner eyes get activated, and you're like, whoa, really? So, wait, what? The moment any human being gets emancipated, they're never going back to the older version. They're not. Somebody said, what about when the woman brings a man to the UK or US and he starts maltreating the woman? That's not what we're talking about. I'm sticking to my story. I may well respond to you later, but let's stick to the story, because if I start to say that, I'll go off track. So the point I'm saying is, the moment before you bring anybody or you even marry anybody, this is how I believe we can solve this problem. Because let me tell you, if you like, you can meet a woman in the diaspora. Nobody's giving anybody papers. You're not dependent on the woman for papers. She's not dependent on you for papers. In fact, when you both met, you are both British citizens, or you both have your green card, you both have your American passports. Great. If it's going to end up as a toxic relationship, it will. It's just that sadly, in the black community, we amplify these things. I brought you abroad. I did this. I gave you your papers. I mean, I appreciate if somebody helps you. It's nice to be grateful and all that. But the dangle this dark cloud over people's heads. I brought you from Nigeria like you are some kind of god. If she's your wife, it's not unusual that you brought her to the States to come and join you. You use that as a control. You weaponize that against them. You have an argument about TV control. You start to make reference to when you brought them to the UK. How does that work? So, and then there are some men that would say, oh, me, I will never bring any woman abroad. I'm the only one in the UK. My wife is in Nigeria with the children. Let her stay there. I'm not bringing her. Let her stay there. I will stay here in the UK. Can we just be honest for a moment? How does that work, man? That's another type of toxicity. And this is quite prevalent in our society. So I leave my wife in Nigeria and children. And the evilness that comes out of this, the undue pressure they put on the wife. Because you are in the US, you also so as I was saying, you leave the wife in Africa and you sit in the West. And in most of these families, they will instruct the wife. They would not even instruct, they will expect her to keep herself intact for the husband who's been away for 3, 4, 5, 6. I heard a case of someone, husband was away for 7.5 years. She moved in with husband's parents. She was raising the kids alone. The only thing he does was sends money and all that. And you expect her to be sexually inactive for that long. You impose that. You impose that on someone as their reality. And you expect someone not to blow her back open. You expect her not to get doggy style from someone. You expect her not to see another man. Back to this brother very quickly. He basically said he brought his wife, blah, 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 blah. And he said the argument started from a particular friend. Okay. The wife of a man that they got to know in their local church. Okay. But it happens to be that that woman went to the same high school, attended the same high school as this man's wife in Nigeria. So they saw each other. Oh, they were classmates in school. So, but she's also married now and stuff, has 2 children and all that. So they sort of reconnected and all that. But before the wife arrived, this man had some serious altercation with this woman at a different house party where the woman called him some nasty names and embarrassed him openly and, of course. So imagine someone that you've had altercation with in the past. There was some serious thing happened at a house party. And then you then discover that, oh, that person actually went to the same high school as your wife. Your wife was aware of that story and all that. But from what he said, the wife, at the time, the wife on the phone, when she was speaking to him, like, whoa, she sort of gravitated towards him and all that. But now, he didn't want his wife to be friends with this person because he told his wife, that's the woman that I told you about, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. So the wife went to meet this woman and said, oh, come my husband said you did this, 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 this. That's my husband, blah, 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 blah. Why? Why did you say that to him? What happened? So basically what happened was, he said she lied to his wife that he was trying to hit on her and she rejected his advances. And then because of that, this guy got aggressive at the party and then the woman exploded. So his wife confronted him. She both suffer me blah blah blah. Also, like basically, my friend said you were trying to ask her out and she turned you down. I don't know who to believe. So the wife brought it to him as sort of like, oh, people dropping unpleasant comment. Oh, is that right? I'll watch it back later. I'll just get them blocked. Let me see. I can't really, don't worry. So from there, that led to a truckload of incidents and all sorts of arguments that left a crack in their relationship. So his wife ended up bonding with that so-called friend. She basically didn't believe her husband anymore because he claims, I mean, this is what he may well be lying and he may well be telling the truth, but he claims that his wife basically then said, oh, she said you were trying to ask her out, but his version was she was in charge of the food serving at the party with some other ladies. And when he asked her for porridge, asaro, and some other meat and stuff, he asked for extra fish and she didn't want to give him extra fish. So he said, wait, but you gave such and such extra fish. So why are you saying, and there is abundance of food, why are you saying no? She slammed the food on the table in front of him and said, if you're ready, you carry your food and go and eat. So this guy got angry, he felt disrespected, and it led to mudslinging and all that stuff. You understand me? So that's his version. But this woman told this man's wife that no, that wasn't, and here's another thing. This guy said he was so pained that there was somebody else from their church that was present at that house party. He had to bring the person in, and the person confirmed these brothers' version of the story. But his wife wasn't buying it. I don't know why. So that led to series of arguments, and then blum 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 blum. He said she called the police on him, da 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 da, and all that. It just got really worse, and the next thing is out of the house. What do I say? I don't know if my wife doesn't believe my version of the story, and that means trust is gone. And I don't know. I said something at the start. People are very perfect with concealing stories. They sometimes give you a polished version, edited version that favors them. I don't know. Maybe he has a history of chepsing other ladies or something that the wife knows, or there's a bit of mistrust, or maybe not. Or maybe the wife is just totally, I don't know. But his argument is, oh, this happened because he brought her in from Nigeria. And I say, no, has nothing to do. And also, the point I was trying to establish, regardless of the outcomes, check who you're building life with. Check before you pick them. Some people are married to totally wrong partners. The complications you're dealing with is because you've got children existing in the confines of that union. But from a spiritual standpoint, that's not your wife, that's not your husband. But then, what can you do? But there will never be fulfillment, there will never be the true joy and happiness. There are so many people with children that exist in confines of unions that they live like arch enemies. When you see husband and wife, they're working together to destroy each other. There is envy, there is strife. You wonder, what are you doing in that union? But the idea of don't bring a woman in and da 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 da. I'm trying to take this to the root. Be careful. And to buy your color, you would know. Like, for example, Ifa would let you know. You would know. And if I may say on a closing note, there was nothing wrong. using this as you're with a good woman, yeah? There's nothing wrong with. Why do you want to limit another person's level of emancipation? That's question number one. If you don't have sinister intentions, why do you, to feel good about yourself, why do you feel the need to commodify? Of course, when you're in the union, this is applicable to both parties. You should respect boundaries and have mutual respect and all that stuff. But why do you want to commodify a partner, or try to suppress them for your own gratification and things like that? And there was a time, this is like last year, I was somewhere, a social gathering, and a Nigerian man, an older gentleman in the gathering, he just made this very ridiculous, absurd statement. I was like, me, that's why I don't, in this UK, I don't take my wife to all these restaurants. These women, when you start to take them to these expensive restaurants and all this, they start to lose their manners. That's why I don't have time. If she wants to eat anything, let her eat at home. If she wants to go to McDonald's, let her go to McDonald's. Do you see what I'm saying? And I said, what? There were a couple of dudes in there that I was like, what? How does that translate? But what the point I'm trying to make here is, look at that guy with that type of warped mentality. You can't even begin to talk to somebody like that. But if some of you have the eardrums of a he-goat, if you believe not marrying from Africa, or marrying from Africa, you have a strong belief that that it's going to work adversely against you, that's your cup of tea. It's your personal life. There are people that married here in the West. It ended in trash, ended acrimoniously. They even married twice, ended acrimoniously. So for me, it's the core thing that we should be focused on. There are two things. Who are you getting married to? And that's not even gender specific. And also, what are your personal values? Are you even ripe enough to go and amalgamate your own emotions with someone else? Because if you have very toxic values, as a man, are you even prepared to live with a woman? Are you able to? Even some women, forget about your biological abilities, you have boobies, you have vagina, you have ability to get pregnant. Those things in the grand scheme of things are irrelevant, okay? Anybody can get pregnant, but are you even wired enough to live with a man? Do you have what it takes? Some people have, they have traumas from childhood that they've not gained closure. Some people have traumas from previous relationships. Some people are just immature. They don't have what it takes. Some men, they grew up under single moms. No disrespect. But sometimes some men grew up under single mothers. They didn't have any father figures growing up. They have no idea on how to really be a man. They didn't see any case studies or physical representations. And then boom, they're adults now. They can feel blood into their genitalia, and then you find someone, and then they settle down, then they start to cohabit. And then it's like an uphill battle. Like, what is this? And every day it's fight and disagreement. They are wrestling, and they will always feel the need to run back to mom. And the mother, out of sentiments, would even more than likely make their situation even worse, because she goes into protective mode, not into a mode of mental independence and equipping them with the right information and what they need to sustain that relationship. She goes into the protective mode, and she becomes their battle partner fighting against their wife, and in the end ends up helping them destroying the union. So that's exactly all I need to say about the other stories. It's, what are your own core values? Do you have what it takes to really cohabit? That's what we need to be talking about, man. So all the myth, there are some men, your spiritual, and from a spiritual standpoint, your journey in life, in order for you to get to the mountain of fulfillment, it's a woman that will actually drag you up that mountain. It's a woman that will present you with that ladder that you need. So it might actually be that woman that you brought into the UK in the first instance. As life goes on, she might end up making more money than you in future, and then She will then use the money to support you or in several other ways. End up giving you fantastic and brilliant children. So, and vice versa. So that's all I'm saying. My name is Phrankleen. It's been an absolute pleasure. Please smash the like button if you haven't. Thank you for lending me your eyeballs and eardrums. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. That's all I've got to say. If you want to send me your stories, if you have, please, before you go, if you have any interesting topics that you'd like me to talk about, I'm happy to look into those topical suggestions. Send me an email to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. My email address is in the description below. You can follow me on Instagram at Phrankleen, as it's spelled, on my YouTube channel. And I'll definitely give them consideration. So if you're interested in any far divination, send me an email like as well. And I'll definitely catch you in the very next one. Thank you. Good night. Bye.